Hello, everyone, and welcome to my How to Host Virtual Networking Events on Zoom. My name is Nyna Caputi. I already see Carolyn and Malena in the chat. So, welcome. So, I'm going to just as when I normally start, like to show a few tools that I use when I host these events. So, for my virtual networking events, I use ring lights. And the funny thing is, my ring light, so the ring lights light me up. You can see I'm lit up, maybe a little bit too much on this side. But yeah, if you look, this is a ring light that I use. It stopped working this morning. So luckily I had a backup, but it's a newer ring light. I've been using it for 5 years. So I started this when I bought these during the pandemic. Hi Uzumi. So I bought these during the pandemic. I had never hosted a virtual event before the pandemic. So I was in the process of hosting this really big event for the expat woman community. It was the expat woman conference in San Francisco at Yelp. And then I think it was on March 20th. I can't remember the exact date. And a few days before that, we went into lockdown in San Francisco. And so I had to move the event to an online event. And I had, as I said, never hosted virtual events before. I'd been on Zoom, but not my own events. And so I had to buy equipment. So I bought these ring lights. And if you're looking to start showing up on YouTube or Zoom, hosting your own workshop, ring lights are really good. They're very simple. This is the newer ring light. It's called NEEWER, and I'll share links to all those in the chat. But I didn't know about their existence, and now they are part of my studio, my home studio, which is really part of my bedroom. I won't show you the whole room because it's kind of messy. I just have this small section. Luckily, I had a backup ring light. I also use this pop filter. So I have a microphone. Let me show you my microphone. So it's this microphone, and then I use this pop filter. So the pop filter helps with, when we speak, tend to uh, some of our words tend to pop, and and then it gets a little distorted in the live or in the recording. So the pop filter, when you sometimes tend to spit words out, so the pop kind of evens it out. So I got this pop filter. I use my laptop, I use Zoom. And the other thing, if you're hosting a virtual networking event or a virtual event and you want to showcase your brand, like if I wanted to show the expat woman in my background, you could use a virtual background. But I don't know, and let me know in the chat, have you attended a virtual event and you see the people going in and out of the frame, like suddenly part of them disappears, and the hands, when they're moving their head, it goes in and out of the image? That's because they're using a virtual background, but they're not using a green screen. So that was the other thing. Let me see if I can pull up my green screen. I'm not using it now. It's been a long time, but unfortunately I think it's stuck. Okay. So this is my green screen. It's a pull-up green screen. But if I used it on Zoom, I'm not pulling it up fully, but if I used it on Zoom and I used my virtual background, say the expat woman, or if I'm doing a summit or a specific workshop, I'll create the background image on Canva. So Canva lets you create the Zoom background images, and then I'd upload it onto Zoom, and I would use the green screen. So it'd be the background would be static. I would not fade in and out. So yeah, hi, Lorraine. Yeah, let me know in the chat what if you're using any equipment right now. So Izumi said, yes, I experience having a simple background works better for cleaner screen experience. Yeah, now I just use my regular background. But if I want to do something branded, I would use my virtual background and I would use a green screen. But I've moved to the natural background because I feel with AI, everything is so branded now. like I'm trying, and I think people are looking more for authenticity, more natural, more organic, and so I'm just using these this more often now, and I've kind of figured out what looks good. So Carolyn said, I agree. Or have pop-ups can stand. Yeah, that's actually a great idea, Carolyn. Having a pop-up with your company or your brand name behind you is I think in some ways better maybe than a virtual background. So you still have maybe a plant or something, and then you have your thing. That's a great tip. Yeah. Any other equipment folks use when you host your events on Zoom? If you are hosting an event, some of you might be planning to host in the future. Let me know in the chat. And I have used Zoom. I have not used any other virtual platform for my virtual networking events. I know there are different platforms where you can create breakout rooms, you can have a main room, but from the time I started doing virtual events during the pandemic in 2020, Zoom's been my go-to platform. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing. Let me know in the chat how many of you have hosted a virtual networking event before or would like to host one in the future. So Azumi is saying, I'm considering the auto eye position apps like Casablanca, but my MacBook is too old to use it. I haven't heard about that. What is that? Does it help you just look at the camera? I'd love to know more, Azumi. What is the auto eye position? That's very interesting. So Carolyn says she has not hosted any virtual networking events. Anyone else in the chat, have you hosted a virtual networking event before? And while you're letting me know in the chat, why don't you? I'm going to ask you to hit the like button on this live stream, because then YouTube shows it to more people, and I'd love for more people to learn how to host virtual networking events. Anyway, let me introduce myself. I realize I just got right into the equipment and chatting with you. And for those who have not met me before, my name is Nyna Caputi. I'm the founder and CEO of the Expat Woman, and I help women make bold moves abroad. And when I talk about bold moves, I don't mean moving boldly to another country. I think that's very bold, but it is after you move to the country, what can you do to showcase your expertise, build your personal brand, so you're not just another expat, another foreigner. You don't have an identity, you're lost in the crowd, which happened to me. You have to kind of reinvent yourself and really build your personal brand, build your authority for people to pay attention to you. And then of course on a global platform, or if your audience is global or you want a global audience, you need to make even more bold moves abroad. So that's what I do. I launched the Expat Woman in 2013. I have hosted events, coached, mentored thousands of women living abroad at this time. Initially, it was the San Francisco Bay Area, and then with the pandemic, it became virtual and online. And I find virtual networking events are a really powerful tool for someone who's looking to build their presence, showcase their authority, their expertise, their visibility, build their community, showcase their offers, promote their offers, and also bring their community together. Virtual networking events are such an easy way. It might sound overwhelming in the beginning, but I believe that if you keep doing them regularly, you'll get more comfortable and confident, and you'll also learn as you go. So Izumi says, I'm not yet with group events, only just meetings. Yeah, and that's the first step. You start meetings and then you host virtual networking events. Thank you for whoever gave me the thumbs up, hit the like button. So I'm going to keep pestering all of you to hit the like button at some point during this live. And if you haven't subscribed to the Expat Woman YouTube channel, please do so. I'm at 972 subscribers. My goal for 2025 is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, you're watching this live or the replay, do hit the subscribe button. And also, when you hit the subscribe button, you get notified every time I post a new video. And my videos are all focused on helping women break those glass ceilings, step out, showcase their authority, their visibility, their expertise, their unique skills, their zone of genius. Okay, so Lorraine says, I think we've answered my question about networking events. I tried my first LinkedIn live on Monday and abandoned it because I couldn't tell if anyone was there or not. I would say, Lorraine, I always encourage my clients, my community, my students never to abandon anything. Like, even if no one's showing up on a LinkedIn Live, you still want to do it, because just like with this YouTube Live or anything else you do, when you go live, the replay stays on forever till you remove it. I've done some LinkedIn Lives, and right now I'm just focused on YouTube because I'm going directly on YouTube. I'm not using a third party platform. I create the event on YouTube, and I'll do another video to show folks how to go live on YouTube. But I'm not using a third party tool. So just like maybe with LinkedIn Live, with LinkedIn Live, I believe you have to use a third party tool. I used to use it. Don't ever abandon it. Just say what you have to say, because people will watch it later because it stays on. So what is no so I thought I had it. Oh, I thought you thought you had a technical program, but I think I was broadcasting, but I was expecting to see people. So should I use Zoom for that? What Yeah, you said you set it up wrong. What platform did you use, Lorraine? Did you use a third party tool? Let me know in the chat. How did you go live on LinkedIn? So while Lorraine's answering that question, I wanted to okay. She used, yeah. So if you use Restream and you press the live button, what I used to use StreamYard to go live on LinkedIn. I'd have a second laptop or my phone, and I would check. I'd keep my LinkedIn uh, feed on, so I could make sure I was going live there. So I could see, if you look at your post, it'll show that you're going live. So that way, you're going live. So that's what I would suggest you do. The problem, I'll tell you, the issue that I have with LinkedIn with live streams is that they don't really push it out to people. Just like with YouTube, I have 972 subscribers. I think there are only 4 people watching it right now, right? So they don't really push the live streams like they might push content. But I so few people are doing LinkedIn lives and YouTube live streams. I would say just do it. Don't worry about how many people show up. So if you use Restream and you press live, you should have gone live on LinkedIn. You can always check LinkedIn and see later if you did show up live. Yeah. Yeah, you would be interacting with people on so the other tip I will share, and I have to give a shout out to Carolyn Gregory, because she told me she would be here today, and Marlena, I don't know if Marlena is still in the audience. Marlena, let me know if you're here. So Carolyn and Marlena told me we're going to be here today for your YouTube live. So if you can find someone if you're doing a virtual networking event, excuse me, I have to sneeze for a second. Excuse Mm. All the dust from I had to pull out another ring light, and it was so dusty, a backup ring light. But I would say if you can find one person to watch you going live, whether it's YouTube or even you're starting off with virtual networking events, you're not sure how many people will show up, maybe find a few people so they can give you feedback. They can let you if you're going live, if your sound's working, if they can see you on the camera. Yeah, you are not alone. Yeah, thank you. Azumi saying bless you. Thanks, Azumi. That's so cute. Yeah, so you're not alone, because I was telling Carolyn last week, when I did my last YouTube live stream, I used to get nervous doing YouTube live streams because I'm just going directly on YouTube, and when there's no one there and you're just talking to the camera, some people might like that. But like you, Carolyn, not Carolyn, Lorraine, I wasn't sure people were seeing me, hearing me. I didn't know if I was going live. So having people in the audience makes a difference. So maybe next time you go live, maybe you can connect with Carolyn and Malena and Izumi today. I'm going to encourage all of you to share links to your LinkedIn profile in the chat. Introduce yourself, what you do, and maybe if any of you are planning to host a live stream or on YouTube or LinkedIn or a virtual event, you guys could be accountability partners and support each other. So try and find that group of people. And of course, also you want to add value so people also benefit from it. So yeah, but so let me know in the meantime if you have any other questions, but do another one, Lorraine. Do it in the other tip I would say with any event, create it in advance. Don't create it on the day of. Create it in advance, and then you can promote the event as a couple of times in posts, in emails, even sending people DMs. I think, Lorraine, you are a language coach, if I'm not mistaken, English language. I have 21,000 connections on LinkedIn, so sometimes I'm like not sure who. Yeah. So Lorraine, you're an English language coach, right? So I would say I forgot what my response was, but I think I was going to try. What I was trying to tell you was start doing posts about it like in advance. So Carolyn, want to know how long in advance do you recommend? I would say, if so, something, the mistake I used to make was I have so many different things happening at the same time. I Every month I open the Expat Woman membership, and I'll share a link to those who want to join the membership. Marlena is one of my members. So I open the membership every month, and I have this virtual networking, uh, not virtual, yeah, this I was going to do this YouTube live stream. I promote my YouTube videos. So I'm trying to get very specific and strategic, like this for 2 weeks I'm going to promote this. So I'd say 2 weeks in advance, because if you do too early, people tend to forget, and then the excitement dies down. So I would say 2 weeks in advance, unless it's something big. For instance, I'm hosting the Expat Women Summit 2026 in May of 2026, but I've already created the event page on LinkedIn, and I'm inviting people. This is an experiment. In the past, I would do it just 4 to 5 weeks before. I haven't released the tickets yet, but I'm building excitement, building the audience now. I just want to see how it works. Also, I want to reach out to potential sponsors. So if I have the event already created, if I have people signed up on the wait list, and I'll share links to those in the description as well, then I can go to potential speakers, sponsors, and say, oh, look, I already have those people. So that's when you're doing an event, whether it's a summit, a virtual networking event, etc. So you have to know and that's my first tip for you. Know what your goals are. Like, what do I want to achieve from this virtual networking event? Do I want to do it just to grow my community? Do I want to build my authority? Like, Lorraine is a English language coach, so she wants to build her authority as an English language coach. There may not be that many English language coaches hosting virtual networking events, and she wants to be seen as one of those who brings, maybe. So you with Lorraine, for instance, Lorraine, you could decide, I want to bring other English language coaches together for my virtual networking event, or I want to bring people who want to improve their English, who are moving to an English speaking country or live in an English speaking country and feel they need to learn or level up their English speaking skills. So your audiences would be different based on what your goal is. Are you promoting and your coaching pro services? So in that case, you want to invite people who are your potential clients to your event, or you want to create a mastermind with other English language coaches. Then you want to bring them together, do a couple of virtual networking events, build that community. So those are my strategies. So you have to really think about your goals, and yeah, and who do you want to bring? Because I have been for some virtual networking events where the community was not my audience. My target audience, my communities, other expat women or women who have repatriated, women who provide expat services. I That's my community. Those are the people I really enjoy connecting with. I mean, I'm also an entrepreneur, so I would also, and it's mostly mine. I'm now become an online entrepreneur, so also I'd like to connect with other online entrepreneurs. I prefer communities of women more than men, so I would maybe attend a work no, virtual networking event for women entrepreneurs. But I've been to some events where I have just felt like I'm not getting anything out of the networking event, because people are not like-minded. I can't make the connection. I just want to leave. I don't feel comfortable. So, and I think a lot of it also depends on the host. The host needs to set the expectations. The host needs to be very welcoming and friendly, so people feel at ease. I've been to events where I just feel it's all about the host. They don't even give us a chance to introduce ourselves in the chat. It just doesn't feel like you're really, they're really focused on the guests. So I'd say keep that in mind. Okay, I will keep sharing stuff, but I'd love if people have questions. If you're looking to host a virtual networking event, do you know who your target audience would be, or do you want to brainstorm that? Do you know what your goals would be? What kind of event would you like to host? Let me know in the question about that. And while you're writing those questions, I want to share my the testimonies from my last virtual networking event. So I'm just going to find my screen and then I'll share it just to, show you how you can really create buzz and get people excited. I know some of you did attend my virtual networking event. So actually, let me share my screen because I wanted to show you how I've built up to this virtual networking live stream to get people excited. So let me share my screen. And let me know in the chat if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, Lorraine and Carolyn said yes. So, Carolyn, you were asking me how do I build up to this virtual network, to any event. So I knew I was doing this live stream. So I created a poll on LinkedIn. Have you ever hosted a virtual networking event? Okay, and then I gave a little story, and then I had these four options. Yes, it was a big success. Yes, and for the English language coach there, Lorraine, there's no comma here after the yes because it only lets you use 30 characters. So you've got to, I mean, here I put a lowercase. See, Lorraine, you made me conscious of my English, but I, I used to always max my English grammar and writing papers in India. So, but anyway, so going back to that, so you see, these people voted. I got 22 votes. Again, virtual networking is not on top of mind for a lot of my network. They're expats, but they're very diverse fields. Many of them are not even thinking of virtual networking events. I'm trying to create that interest for them to make them realize this is a cheap, easy way to start building your community. But I did that. And then the ones who said it was a big success, they don't need my support. They're not going to come and attend this event. But yes, could have gone better. Yes, but want to improve. No, but I'd like to. So these people, I can see who voted. So 22 votes, and then you can see who's voted in each of these votes. And then I wrote to them. I sent them messages saying, hey, I'm hosting this live LinkedIn, I'm sorry, YouTube live stream where I can answer your questions about virtual networking events. Would you like to attend? Here's the link if you're interested. So you can start creating the buzz. You can be very creative about it, like like I did here. And of course, in between, as I said, I also have the expat woman membership. So I had to share about the membership. And I'm trying to go up here. Yeah, this newsletter I started teasing. So I do a LinkedIn newsletter every week. So I started teasing the topic about virtual networking events in my newsletter last week. And then I did this post one day ago, thinking of hosting a virtual networking event. And then, yeah, I have 20 hours. I mean, that was 2 days ago. Then yesterday I shared this that, I'm hosting the virtual networking event with. So you can see, I tell people how they can join. And then today, every week, I also do, as I said, a LinkedIn newsletter. And then I included all the stuff in my LinkedIn newsletter. I also did a video about, yeah. So first I shared the LinkedIn post I did a few weeks ago about the virtual event I hosted at the beginning of September. Then I did a video on YouTube, where I shared a few tips to host virtual networking events. I shared the poll. Then I shared this upcoming event. And then I'm also, if you're interested in a deeper dive, well, really share my secrets and strategies, etc., I am hosting this workshop on on October 23rd, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's a 2-hour interactive workshop with me on how to host. I'm going to share a lot more. It's going to be a deep dive, but it'll be interactive, be fun. You can even come with your event ideas, and maybe we can even start creating stuff together for you. And if you join now, you can get the 25% off discount. I'll share this link as well in the description. But anyway, so this is what I'm so you slowly start building up to the event. Lorraine, I think Carolyn, you were asking me about that. Let me go back to my, and hopefully you guys can still see this. Okay, and then what else? Oh yeah, let me go back because I wanted to show you for like the post I did from my last virtual networking event, and how, yeah. So this was the post I did, and then all the testimonies from people. I shared all the people's testimonies in here. So that's another thing with virtual networking events. It can create so much content for you because you can use people's testimonies, their takeaways. I got 82 likes on this post and 55 comments. Now, if you're just starting off, you might like wonder, like, will I even get many people to show up? And that's fine. Initially, you may not get people showing up. You may get, that's why I said always reach out to those 1 or 2 people. Yeah. And in 1 minute, Uzumi says, do you have a recommendation for a good length to start with? I'm hosting an online event with my business partner as a community foundation meet and greet event. Is it a virtual event, Izumi, or is it an in-person? And Lorraine says, no judgment from me. Thank you, Lorraine. I just realized there's some cheese sticking to my cup at the bottom. I have 3 teenage kids, so there's always crazy stuff in my kitchen. Yeah. So Izumi, is it virtual? I'm assuming, yeah, it's a virtual event. Okay. So is it a workshop? Like what is the event? Let me know what kind of event is it. Is it a workshop, or is it a networking event? Or you say it's a community foundation meet and greet. So are only you and your business partner going to be speaking? Like, you have to decide on the format. So is it just for both of you to talk about your, I don't know. So why don't you share a little bit more? What is the topic of the event? What's the topic and what's the format? Is it like for instance, this format, I can't bring you guys on stage because I'm going directly on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't isn't the technology isn't advanced enough for me to bring people up, right? With Zoom, you can have everyone online. I pay for like the basic membership, which where I can have up to 100 people on Zoom. So yeah, just it's a virtual event. But is there a topic, Izumi? Do you have like a specific topic for the event? So yeah, let me see. Maybe she's shared. No, she hasn't shared. So I forgot what I was saying. Yeah. So you have, when you're doing a virtual event, you have to decide, is it what's the format? Am I just speaking? Now there's Zoom has 2 types of formats as well. It has the meeting format where you can bring everyone videos and audio can be turned off and on based on what you decide. Or you can have the webinar format where only everyone else will be in the audience in the chat, like here, like the YouTube live. No one can see how many people have joined. So sometimes when you're hosting a webinar and you're conscious about not, maybe no one will show up, or a workshop, you could do a webinar style. You have to pay a little bit more, but people won't know if there's anyone in the audience or not, and then that way you're saved the trouble of feeling humiliated, embarrassed. I don't think it's a big deal. I think you just have to own it and say, as I said, I only have 5 people watching. I have 21,000 folks on my YouTube, LinkedIn, among my connections. I have, between all the LinkedIn, Facebook, email list, I have about 50,000 folks. 5 people have joined, right? It doesn't matter. One thing I like about YouTube live is the replay stays on, because there are people in different time zones. People might be busy, and virtual networking is such a niche topic. So maybe if I did one about H-1B visas, which I wouldn't do because I'm not an expert in it and don't know much about it, but for those who live in other countries, the US has changed the policies around H-1B visas. So right now, if you are connected with immigration lawyers or folks with H-1B visas, the LinkedIn feed is full of posts and questions and tips on how to go about dealing with this. So I know if I did something like that, and I had the audience, invited the right audience, people who have H-1B visas or want to apply for them, or immigration lawyers who are trying to help people with their H-1B visas, I might get a good turnout, right? So sometimes when you're introducing a new topic, trying to get interest in a topic, fewer people will show up, and then a webinar is a safe way to do that. Okay, so Izumi said, we started a community. I'm going to reach out to our first subscribers. We want to introduce ourselves, but want to hear what people expect or wish from the community going forward. So I would say for your first event, maybe keep it to 40, maybe keep it to 50. They say the magic number is 54 minutes. I heard this recently from someone who hosts virtual events. She said the magic number is 54. Now, when I host virtual networking events, it's different. But when you're hosting something like yours, Izumi, where it's a meet and greet, 54 minutes, so that you can say you start at 9, then by 9:54 you can slowly wind down. And especially if you have like a little pitch, you want people to join your community, you want people to ask questions, etc. Now if very few people show up, that's fine, because you can still uh, you know facilitate some networking. You and always be prepared. Like if you're going to do 54 minutes and you feel people have may not have many questions, and after your 5 or 10 minute presentation and introductions, what happens if people don't have any questions? So come prepared with a list of your questions, or maybe even post about the event on LinkedIn and say, I'd love to invite you to this event, and feel free to share your questions with me in the comments or even by direct message, because sometimes people feel shy to even post in the comments. So saying, send me a direct message might help them. Okay, so hopefully I answered your questions, Izumi. Let me know how it goes, but great job, because I think that there's so much power in that. Make sure you also record the event, so then you can send a link to the replay to your to people who couldn't make it. You're welcome. Yeah, let me know how it goes. Okay, anyone else have any questions for me? Because I do have a few questions that I want to answer. Yeah, thank you. You completely answered my question. Should have set up on Zoom to have the audience on video too. So Lorraine, LinkedIn Lives are very powerful. Let me know in the chat, Lorraine, what is your goal? What was your goal with hosting that LinkedIn Live? Like, what was the topic and who was your audience? Then I'll be able to answer you. I'll be able to give you some advice, some strategic advice. Just let me know in the chat, what was the topic of your LinkedIn Live, and who was your target audience, and actually, one more question. What was your goal with that event? I'll also be reading it out, so then people might hear about it when they watch the replay and may check out what Lorraine Wallace has to offer. Might share, they might go to your LinkedIn profile. So the question people have asked me is like, why host a virtual networking event? Why do I need to host it? I might be repeating myself a bit, but I think when you're starting to show up on camera and you're not very comfortable or confident, so for those people who are just starting off and they don't want to have to give a presentation and speak, because I know it's scary. Believe me, when I first started showing up on Zoom, it was nerve-wracking. So when you have a small, even if you have 5 or 10 people show up, you can put the spotlight on them instead of you. First of all, you want to make everyone feel very comfortable and relaxed in the audience. Be like, I try to be as chill as possible, so that people don't feel like, oh my gosh. I don't know if you've ever been to an event where the host, whether it's in person or virtual, the host seems very stern, very unapproachable. Just you don't feel comfortable around them. you don't want to stay at the event, you want to leave. So you want to make people feel really comfortable with the event. And I so yeah so you want to host events for your community, and you really have to get clear on your community. As I said earlier, with I gave the example of Lorraine's Wallace. Like, are you going to bring on people who are your peers, or are you going to bring people who are your target audience? Like, Izumi is hosting her creating this community, so her target audience will be people who want to join her community, who would be excited about it. So Lorraine says the topic was to give 3 actionable tips for developing confidence through speaking practice alone. My audience is learners, so I'm assuming English learners of B1 level and above. Perhaps a LinkedIn Live is best, as I don't need participation. I think so, Lorraine. So this is my so there's 2 things here, Lorraine. The advantage of LinkedIn Live is that people get to see it. Even if they may not show up to your live, people might at some point watch the replay. So that's one thing with the LinkedIn Live. So for those of you watching this, now we're talking about LinkedIn Live, not virtual networking events. If you want to talk about a specific topic and you're not looking at connecting people, right? You want to just show up as an authority like we do in our LinkedIn posts. We are not bringing other people into our posts. We may tag a few people, but people are welcome to leave comments in the chat, or leave their comments, right? That's how they're interacting with you. So a LinkedIn Live definitely builds your authority. There's so few people doing LinkedIn Live. So do the LinkedIn Live, repurpose that LinkedIn Live content. You put the transcript into Chat GPT can turn it into posts. Chat GPT or Gemini or Claude, whatever you're using, whichever AI tool you're using, you can say, can you break this down into posts, create a newsletter, create an article with Restream. Now, when you go live using a third party tool on LinkedIn, you could also go live on YouTube. I don't know if you have a YouTube channel, Lorraine, but you can go live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and Facebook. I was using StreamYard. I stopped using them. I'm waiting for Black Friday to see whether if Restream or StreamYard has a special offer, and then I'll rejoin them, because right now I can only go live on YouTube. I can't also stream on LinkedIn. So I would say do that, Lorraine. Now, the disadvantage of going live on YouTube or LinkedIn is you don't know who's watching, and you can't get their email addresses. There's plenty of people who'll watch who won't comment. So that's why your goal, if you're going live, it's to show up as someone who is an expert, a thought leader, an influencer. You can promote your offers, your products, your services. And the other tip is, you can say links to everything that I've say you're promoting a new course or workshop, Lorraine. You can say link to that course or workshop is in the comments of this live. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments of this live, because again, not everyone is watching it live. So the cons or the disadvantages of going live are, you on LinkedIn or YouTube, is you can't get people's email addresses. So the second option for you, Lorraine, is to host a Zoom. Now, Zoom is a lot more work. Going live is so much easier because you just turn on the camera and you go live. And if you're an expert or excited about the topic, it's so easy to go live. When you do a Zoom, you've got to send out emails. Like, I send out so many emails to potential guests, and then hopefully people will show up for the workshop, but you can get people's email addresses. And I wanted to share one. So Lorraine, you have to just that's why I asked you what your goal is your goal to show up as an authority figure? You're not really building your email list for with this live? Then go for the live. But you can do a second option where you host the Zoom thing, and you can get their email addresses. And the simplest way to do that, let me set up Zoom and show you how you can create where you can get people's email addresses. Because, and I'll share in a second. Okay, I just want to first set it up. Okay, I don't know if you guys let me share my screen. Okay. And if you're just joining me, make sure introduce yourself while I'm pulling up my screen. If you guys want to introduce yourself in the chat, share a link to your LinkedIn profile so you can all connect. Obviously, you're all interested in hosting virtual events, and I don't know who everyone is here who's joined, so it's always nice for me to know. And if you haven't subscribed to the Expat Woman YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button. Please like this video too, so it helps me and it helps other folks get to see this video. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to set up Zoom where you can get people's email addresses. I think so. I have a paid plan with Zoom, but if you have the free plan, you can only do I think 30 minutes and then it cuts you off. So you go to host. Oh, sorry, you go to meetings and schedule a meeting. Now I am hosting my next virtual networking event for business. It's going to be for entrepreneurs, coaches, freelancers, consultants. So I'm going to actually create while you guys are watching this. So my topic will be virtual networking event for entrepreneurs, coaches, uh, consultants. Okay, I won't do the description now. I can always go back and do, and it's going to be on November 19th, which is Women Entrepreneur Day. So I'm going to set it up for 9 a.m. So my virtual networking events are an hour and a half, so 1 hour 30 minutes. Okay, so now I want to get people's email addresses. So I'll click registration required. So when I share the link with people, they will have to put in their name and email address. Okay, then there's a passcode. I'm not doing a waiting room. I'm not doing any of this. And I do save. And there you have it. So it's created it November 19th, 9 a.m. There's a passcode. And then if I want to send the invitation to people, I just do this. So you can send out an email, you can send people DMs, etc. Hopefully this showed up. Oh yeah, you guys saw that. Okay, let me stop sharing. So Lorraine has to go in 5 minutes as I have a class, but I'll catch up on the rest in the replay. You're most welcome. Oh, you guys couldn't see it? Okay, that's too bad because I maybe this is the thing, I think sometimes YouTube doesn't like certain platforms. I'll just show you what the final thing looked like since you saw a black screen. So I just set up, can you see it now? Because I can see it. I can see it in the YouTube live. Is it still black? Big Sis Dula, Carolyn Gregory, let me know if you're still seeing a black screen or can you see it now? Okay, can now. Okay. So I just created this virtual networking event for November 19th. I created a registration link. If you guys need me to, what I'll do is I'll click edit so you can see what I did. But this is how you can get people's, when you create a virtual networking event, you want to click on this registration required. So you want to click on that because then when you share the link with people, they have to include their name and email address. Because my advice for all of you is you need to grow your mailing list. That is LinkedIn, YouTube, Zoom. They'll be there one day, the next day they might lock you out of them, out of their platforms, right? So you want to grow your mailing list, and with virtual networking events, it's a fantastic way to grow your mailing list. And once you get their name and email address, then you can send them reminders for the event. So once they register, they'll be notified by Zoom, and you'll also get their name and email in advance and can start sending them emails to remind them. Okay, so that's, yeah, let me know if you have any questions about this, and then I'll stop sharing my screen. If you have questions about setting up a registration link on Zoom or anything around Zoom, and then you want to make sure you record it, and then after the event is done, you can see the recording. Yeah. Do you have any questions about this? Because otherwise I'll stop sharing my screen. So yes, so coming back, you want to be very clear on your goals for your virtual networking event, because you don't want, and initially you may not be very, when you're hosting your first few events, you're not really sure, like, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I'm not sure how the tech is going to be, who's going to show up. But you need to have a few things in place, right? Like, especially, I'll stop sharing the screen. I don't think anyone has any questions. You want to have a few things in place. I'm just looking at how, I just, like, I wore earrings and stuff and can't even see them. Yeah, because of my headphones. Anyway, yeah, I shouldn't be distracted by that. Okay, so the logistics, you have to keep the logistics in mind. What day of the week, what time is so important. Is your audience, like, for instance, my target audience, you, all of you watching this, you're my target audience, right? I think you all are in the US and Europe, and I think that is who I mean, I would love to work with people in Asia, in Africa, in Australia, New Zealand, but the time difference doesn't work for me. 9 a.m. works for me also because my kids are out of the house, and I like doing it first thing in the morning, and then I can go about my work, but it also works with my audience. Maybe I've tried doing events in the evening. So I live in California. So I've tried doing events at like the evening and at 5 p.m. PST, which doesn't work for my European audience because it's the middle of the night. My East Coast audience, folks living on the East Coast of the US or Canada, it's like 8 p.m. So some of them are, dinner or just unwinding. They don't want to be on Zoom or watching a YouTube live. And even folks in the West Coast, in California and other places in the West Coast. So even, yeah, those on Mountain Time, or Central Time, it's 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. It's evening, and it doesn't work for them. So, and then weekdays work better than weekends for me. Now, maybe if your audience is more like a weekend audience because they're busy during the week with their work, their jobs, etc., then, my target audience is more entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, freelancers, service providers. So they have a more flexible schedule. I do have people who work in the corporate world in my audience too, but they mostly can't make these events. But as I said, I'd say 70-80% are more business owners. So they have the flexibility. So they can show up at 9 a.m. or noon or evening if it's their time. So just keep that in mind. The day and time is very important. And that sometimes, we're just starting off, will come with trial and error. Or you could do a poll on LinkedIn or whatever social media platform you use and ask people, what I want to host this virtual networking event. I want to bring my community together, because remember, with virtual networking events, recording it is pointless. People are coming to the virtual networking event because they want to connect with each other. They want, they're coming for they, and it's across borders, right? And it's from the comfort of their home. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to really dress up. Like, I'm wearing pajamas. They might be wearing pajamas below. So it's so that you want to keep that in mind as well. So ask your audience what time works for them. Keep the date in mind too. You want to make sure, and I know these might sound very basic right now, but you might put all this effort into hosting a virtual networking event, and then no one shows up because maybe in your target, maybe your target audience is the US, maybe you're in Europe or Asia, or in Australia, wherever, and you want to target the US audience, and then you do it during Thanksgiving, which is most people on. I mean, we get, it's usually the US comes to a standstill during Thanksgiving. So unless someone's at home and not doing anything else, people are very unlikely to show up for your event, or during the elections, the US elections. So whichever countries are your target audience, look for any holidays or any events that might affect people showing up. So I'd say keep that in mind. Think of the length. When you're doing your first virtual networking event, I say keep it simple. So maybe just do an hour of virtual networking events. And then, so that's the date, the time, the format, what platform are you going to use? How are you going to promote it to your target audience? how are you going to what are you going to do at the event? Are you going to first present? Are you going to speak? How are you going to encourage people to connect with each other? So those are things to keep in mind when you're hosting a virtual networking event. Let me know in the chat if you have any other questions. And then, of course, if you like this workshop, so it's workshop, I'd say more like a Q&A, but I did share some tips. Once this chat is done, you can post in the comments and let me know what your key takeaway is, or if you have any more questions. If you're watching this later, you can let me know in the comments what some of your questions are. But right now, for the people who are watching it live, do you have any questions for me? Is there an event you're planning to host? Let me know. And I also did these 3 tips that I shared: knowing your goals, who your community is, and the logistics. I did a YouTube video on that, so I'll share that link as well in the descriptions, because I go into a little more detail. And if yeah, yeah. Thank you for today, Nine. I need to go now to prepare. Nice to meet everyone in the chat. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Carolyn, for joining me. And again, everyone else, again, let me know in the chat any last questions. If you're nervous about hosting an event for the first time, a virtual networking event, as I said earlier, bring in ask a few people in your network if they can join with you, because it does help having people who in the in the group. So do that. Like, I know Izumi is partnering with someone else to host an event, so maybe find someone to maybe co-host the virtual networking event with you. That's really important. And just do it even if you're not prepared. I think people like the authenticity. So I don't think you should worry about how you sound. If you're nervous, you can even tell people. People are so supportive and understanding. If you're nervous, I last week or the 2 weeks ago, when I hosted a virtual live, I'm sorry, this YouTube live, I hadn't hosted one in a long time. I told people I'm really nervous, and my strategy was doing like product reviews of what I use for my YouTube videos at the beginning. So you can even do something to distract yourself in the beginning. You can say, hey, look what I'm wearing. I bought this here. If you want to take the spotlight off you, then you can even ask people to introduce themselves in the chat. If you're on Zoom, you can tell them to unmute themselves and introduce themselves. Some people are very comfortable doing that. But once you start speaking and you're comfortable and you tell people you're nervous, so this is the first time you're doing it and why you're doing it, maybe even a little introduce yourself briefly, you'll get more comfortable with doing it. And remember, it's always about your audience. What value are you bringing to your audience? Because people have very limited time. So you want to make sure that they leave that virtual networking event having made a new connection, maybe learned a tip or strategy from you that they can implement, and they leave feeling energized. Even if there are 5 people, you want to make sure that your networking event is fabulous. Because again, remember, virtual networking events, you can bring in people from across the globe who are your target audience, and you can really get to be known as the facilitator, as the community leader of that audience, of if it's expats or software engineers, or moms, or content creators. That's why it's so important to bring in the right target audience, because then people feel they've met other people in the networking event, and now they have an opportunity to take those conversations further, encourage them to continue the conversation outside of the event. Maybe they can connect with people and have virtual coffee chat, etc. So I'm at the end of my 1 hour of YouTube live. I so appreciate everyone who joined me over the last hour to ask their questions, share their comments. I'm so excited that you're interested in hosting virtual networking events. If you didn't get to see the whole video because you joined late, once this live is over, you'll be able to go back and watch the whole replay. And I will continue to answer questions. So share in the comments. Izumi, you can even share a link to your upcoming event if you like in the comments of this video. And, if you want other people to know what you're doing, or if you have any further questions about the event you're creating. So if I have no more questions, I'm going to end now. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please leave comments. Hit the notification bell so that you can watch more videos, or you get to know every time I host a live or I host upload a short video. You can see my mind is getting tired now after 55 minutes, and that's why Izumi, I was like, don't want to make it too long because you can get tired. With virtual networking events, I do an hour and a half because I'm not talking for the full 1.5 hour. And I am hosting a workshop, a deep dive into hosting virtual networking events. What I shared today was just the tip of the iceberg. It'll be interactive, and I have a lot of secret strategies and tips. I just shared a few today, but there's lots more. I'll make it very simple, but it's going to help you host those wildly successful virtual networking events like I have done. And I've hosted them for thousands of women. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, and I'll see you soon.